What is up, everybody? Happy Friday, happy weekend. It is me, the bald, the beard, the beautiful, and new father of a third baby who just arrived 2 days ago, a little boy named Zeke. I am really happy and excited. He's sleeping right now. The wife is sleeping. And I thought, why not? Let's do a podcast and let's get on a really great, awesome dude, Joe Feeney from the Creative Control Network. He's also on the Keepin It 100 podcast with Konnan and Disco, The Raven Effect with former ECW, WCW, WWE star Raven. Joe Feeney, man, he is one of the most busiest guys in wrestling podcasting. Seriously, every time I just see his name pop up on something new, I just feel so lazy, man. This guy is like grinding nonstop. But guys, before I get into the interview, I just want to take a quick second, a quick pause, a quick moment to thank those sponsors. You know how I do it. First up is A-Rock Designs. Now, A-Rock Designs is that company you always hear me raving about. They make awesome products. They make custom cups, tumblers. They made me this custom CM Punk tumbler, which is absolutely awesome. This thing keeps my cold drinks cold, my hot drinks hot. Guys, you know what? Head over there. Ashley makes some amazing products with some amazing designs. So go check out arockdesigns.com, A-Rock Designs on Facebook, A-Rock Designs on Twitter and Instagram. Next up is Signal Studios. So Signal Studios is that online recording studio. They can help mix, master, and produce any type of track that you got working on. If you're an independent wrestler and you need a new entrance song to walk out to the ring, to be cool, to be hip, to be fly, to be whatever the cool kids and woke kids are saying these days, then you need to hit up Rafi from Signal Studios and he will take care of you. He works with such awesome bands and musicians like the Cicadas, who provide my awesome intro track and also all the intro music for all of the songs on the MWA podcast network. But guys, make sure that you check it out. But guys, you know what? Without further ado, I'm going to bring him out, the man, Joe Feeney. Joe, what's up, brother?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. It's been a big week, bro.
I was gonna say, I know you're a little tired, you're a little worn out, but we'll get through it. So,
dude, no, I'm excited, bro. I'm pumped. I think I've got like that second level of like energy. Like after the 2 days, it just like sort of spiked up. So, no, I'm feeling good, man. So, but dude, like you've been like really, really busy. I was actually just listening to Keepin It 100, the one that dropped, I believe it was yesterday, and you guys had Jeff Jarrett on, and I was listening to that, man, and dude, like the way that you guys obviously flow on that is really cool, man. And also, like, obviously with the interview style as well, having someone coming in, is it usually difficult when you've got so many chefs in the kitchen, if you know what I mean?
No, I mean, those two guys, Konnan and Disco, obviously have known each other for over 20 years, you know, maybe almost 25. So they have their rapport. It's more on me to know when to not try to step on somebody, or like, I know if they're going to have Jared on, I'm not going to say much because I don't need to interject. I don't need to ask a question. I don't need to shoehorn my way in there. So, I mean, I've been on there with as far as that threesome with Disco and Konnan for, almost 4 years, just the three of us. So, and it took me a little while to feel to get my position right and to feel comfortable. But I feel like now it's almost automatic. So it's just a matter of knowing that Disco is going to stomp all over you. You have to battle it out with Disco. There's no doubt about that. And he's going to make it difficult, but just knowing your spot and knowing when to speak. And so like I said, when they have an old friend like that on or something, there's no need for me to do anything except kind of listen and learn. Right. So, but I said this one yesterday, a friend of mine that listens, I put the show together and I listened back to it and I said, man, this might be the best 2 hours the show ever had. Like there was a lot of stuff going on, you know, and it was just very entertaining, I thought.
Oh, absolutely. And I think as well, it does take a while to sort of like find a niche when you're sort of working with multiple people on a platform. Like that's sort of like what I found with Wrestling with Tragedy, like when we started that with the three sort of dudes doing it and we're going back and forth. It's like, like, you know, and then once now it's like a year in, it's like, just flows like, you know, seamlessly, you know, and I think it just takes that time to really generate that rapport and that sort of bond and building of it. So,
yeah,
but man,
I was going to say, like on the Raven Effect, it's the same thing. It's a 3-person team. It's me, Raven, and Rich Bikini, who was on, WWE, NXT, MLW. And we didn't, I'm not going to say we didn't click right away, because it was good almost right away. And that's why Raven kept me around. But like now, again, a couple of years later, it's just, again, automatic. So that show is gaining in popularity because it's a different kind of rapport going around, but it's still a whole lot of fun with those guys. And, Raven doesn't necessarily focus on wrestling. So you got to be prepared to talk about whatever is going through his mind at the time. So that's a lot of fun.
Raven seems like a really eccentric type of character as well. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's sort of like, you don't know what you would expect, if you know what I mean. Like when you sort of sit down and he'd sort of come out of left field with some stuff. Is that sort of like what it's like?
Yeah, you got to realize that any minute topic that he focuses his attention on that's what you're going to talk about. So you got to be prepared to talk about either, the silliest thing, or maybe just
this cut out there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, I was going to Raven, you have to be prepared to speak about whatever minute piece of a topic he might focus on, whether it's, or it could be something, and he's a big MMA fan, so you might spend half of the show talking about UFC, or you might talk about, reading, movies, music. He's a big music buff, so it's, it's kind of whatever, and that's what the listeners of that show seem to enjoy. And like I said, keeping it unpredictable makes it fun to record too. So,
100%. Those always end up being the best sort of recording sessions, when you go in and you just don't know what's going to be on the table. It's like,
yeah.
The smorgasbord of podcasting and conversation. It could be anything and everything. But
yeah.
So, dude, I saw recently you did a post, man. Like, you've been naughty, huh? So you got blocked by Jim Cornette.
Yeah, I didn't do anything, and I'm a Jim Cornette fan. Like I started listening when he was on MLW back in the day. Obviously, I'm a big fan of his shoot interviews and his timelines with kayfabe commentaries. Like, that shit is like, wrestling gold. If you would want to sit there and, speaking of minute topics or picking apart the minutia, when he goes deep into a topic, he can rant forever, and you're just sitting there as a fan like, I want to hear all about WWE 97 or whatever, So, but what happened was there was a YouTube clip that went up on the Keepin It 100 YouTube channel, and the topic started. Someone emailed in and asked us about Austin, or asked those guys, because I only met Austin a couple of times, but asked those guys what it's like working with Austin Aries, and he has a reputation for being difficult or whatever. So Disco kind of went into that, and he had a realization. It just spun off into, some of those Ring of Honor types have that reputation, whether it's Aries or Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. And I said CM Punk, and then Disco started talking about how all those guys had trouble with Cornette in Ring of Honor. He never said the name CM Punk. I just threw it in there as a guy from Ring of Honor that might have a reputation as being difficult. Yeah. So someone took the clip and tweeted it to Jim saying, Disco said that you have heat with Punk and this and that. And so Cornette responded with like 2 tweets, just, burying the shit out of Disco. Anything you'd expect to hear, like, you're a Russo sycophant and your dumb booking ideas and you're Trump Republican, anti-vax, whatever he could conjure up, he threw at him, as he does. So when Disco responded, I thought it was a good idea to take the video of his response and send it right to YouTube, our YouTube, through Husey, who handles it, so people could see what Disco, really meant, or what his response was. Because he didn't insult Cornette or make up a false story about heat between him and Punk. It just was a misunderstanding. So on Twitter, I shared the clip, and I shared it in a thread that Cornette was in, and I don't know why that made him block me. Because, if he looked, it says on my Twitter, like, co-host Keepin It 100, whatever, he would realize, oh, this guy works on the show. Of course, not everybody knows that. Most people don't know that. I'm just the guy, the other voice, But he blocked me for sharing. I'm imagining. I also emailed his website to see if he wanted to come on. So I don't know if that pissed him off and he saw my name and fuck this guy and whatever. Yeah. I don't know. But I went to look at something as we were finishing up recording on Wednesday night and saw that I was blocked. And I was like, God damn it. It's not anything in the grand scheme of things. I actually shared it because I thought it was kind of funny. But I was hoping this whole thing would
print and frame it.
I know.
Print and frame it.
Yeah. like he did with that restraining order. But no, I actually thought this was going to lead to him finally coming on the show, because people have asked to have Cornette on with Konnan and Disco for years, And when they worked MLW together, Cornette told Konnan, like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it. Just let's hook it up. Just give me a little bit of time, and I have a busy schedule, but I'll come on." So every now and then I would reach out, and I just never heard back. We haven't had him on. I thought this would be the impetus to finally get Cornette on, which is it would be highly entertaining. It would be great for everybody's numbers and everything too, because he's a draw in podcasting and on YouTube. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. Although Konnan and Disco remain unblocked, and Husey, who shared the clip, remains unblocked. So,
wow,
it's the way it goes.
I got blocked by Jim Cornette as well. So, basically, he tweeted about a couple people I know that were in a wrestling match that was a spot that happened in PWA, which is a large promotion here in Australia.
Okay.
And these guys did a spot where it was like a 14-man tag, like 7-on-7 match, and they had six guys like in a suplex position, and then two people were on top of their backs and about to suplex. Yeah. So he tweeted saying that, this is an abomination and blah, blah, blah. And, I just, retweeted, I commented on it and, just said, "Hey, Jim, it's a little bit subjective. And, wrestling's a subjective thing, man. What you like, other people won't like. And what, some people, what you like, other people won't, and vice versa. And kind of like how you like to be cucked on a Friday night and other guys don't."
Well, I didn't say that. Now I'm gonna get I'll be double blocked. No, it's certainly not subjective when it comes to Jim, and that's almost what his fans and all love about him, because he's gonna take a position and that's it, And I just I know that I'm in a position, being on Keepin It 100, that the show has controversial opinions. Konnan can have a controversial opinion. Disco can. I might say some things that people don't necessarily agree with, and I know that could get me looked at a certain way or cast in a certain light by other wrestlers maybe that we talk about, or other companies that don't necessarily like the show. Now I'm on the show, I'm on the team, so I'm going to be a part of whatever he comes the show's way. And I already recognize that. I tweeted something about that a few months ago. I know there's certain companies that don't want their guys to come on the show and things like that. So we're not the most popular podcast out there. As far as when you see us get a guest, it's either because there's a personal friendship there with the guys, or they really have something to promote. But there's no, other than I'll take that back. Lately, MLW and the NWA have been sending us guests, But normally, if we don't, we're not solicited guests. We decide who we want to bring on. So normally, it's going to be someone like Jarrett that has a long-term friendship with those guys, or we'll find someone that has something to promote. Or sometimes the show will make new friends. I know they both really got along with Ryback when he came on, and even though he's not the most popular guy, Enzo came on. The reason I bring those guys up is I recently revisited their interviews, because I do K100 Rehash once a week, where I kind of do a best of the show. Now that we're over 250 episodes, there might be some stuff that you haven't heard or people haven't heard. So I'll put together a best of, and I revisited the interview with Enzo, and I remember thinking, what a boob when he comes on. Like, this is gonna, I can't wait for this guy just to cut a promo for 20 minutes. And he just he was such a real dude and smart and analytic. And he impressed me right away. So I guess that goes to the old don't judge a book by its cover, but
he comes across that in interviews. Like he knows how to promote himself, he knows how to market himself, and I think he knew his value in WWE. And I think that probably pissed off a lot of people in that sort of backstage environment, where it was like, oh, this guy, he's just literally come up from NXT and, was getting the biggest pop of, besides Daniel Bryan for the last 2 years, who else was getting that reaction? So I think it was you know what I mean? They wanted to bring him down a bit, but I think he's a great dude from what I've heard from him in interviews, though. Very articulate. When
the WWE Network first, came around, I think it was it was like 7 years ago. Wow. And I was like, all right, cool. Now I can watch this NXT I've been hearing about. And Enzo and Cass were on the first show. And immediately when I saw them come out, I went, wow, that's the next New Age Outlaws, You know what I mean? Sing along for the match. I was like, holy 100%. Shit, this is going to work, you know? Of course, I infamously also thought that Adam Rose was going to be a huge hit too, and that was not the case. Not always right, but you know.
But dude, Adam Rose, he got jacked, man. Have you seen him like recently in the last few years? He's like fucking huge.
But he retired, right? Or he had
I think he got into like a little bit of legal trouble or some shit, and then next thing you know, I think he retired or something. I can't remember what it was, so I don't want to sort of. I think I have an idea, but I don't want to mention because I don't know. I'm not 100% if that's what it is, but I know he got into a bit of legal trouble, and I think that's what forced his release from WWE.
Yeah.
So, but man, like one of the things like I wanted to know, like, because you do like multiple podcasts per week and stuff like that. How do you obviously prioritize your time and sort of have these things set up? Like, I'm assuming most of your work is done by like at home, right? So
everything.
Yeah. How's that motivation though? Like to get up and like, man, I've got to do 8 hours of editing today, or I've got to do, chop this up. Do you sit down and have your days pretty much set and planned of like what you're going to do each sort of day and time?
Sorry, of course my thing just came and said there's an important update coming later. So to like I have to remind myself that it could be a lot worse. Like I've had jobs that were not, the greatest. I've had jobs that were okay, and the money and benefits were good, but the politics and the inner office nonsense was like, that's what drove you crazy. Or I've had jobs that were overly crazy, dirty, and physical, like working in a chocolate factory as a temp for a few weeks, and you're covered in chocolate dust, and you're lifting up blocks of chocolate and throwing them in the milk. Like I've done it all, man. Like as far as labor and warehousing and forklift, all that stuff. So those jobs some of them can be really bad. Some of them can be fine. Maybe you're on a forklift all day. You're just loading a truck. You have your headphones in. I've done that. That's fine. But I just have to remind myself that, dude, you're at home. No one's really bossing you around. Konnan might curse at me here and there, but that comes with the job. And it's like I tweeted yesterday that Joker scene where the Joker goes, "I like this job. I like it." Now, I was sitting there thinking after I recorded with Raven, I was like, man, I'm lucky, So yeah, I try not to get negative. Sometimes it is a lot of time and time consuming. And when I have the free time, either there's nothing to do or whatever. So you kind of like, damn it. Like I want to, make my weekend, which is really just today, I want to do something, but it's cool. I'm really lucky to be where I'm at. I always tell people I was a big listener of Konnan stuff on MLW radio and a big fan. And I was a big fan of Ravens for years and his shoot interviews and all that, and Disco. So I get to work with those guys. I get to work on Conrad shows, which I, fell in love with immediately when the Pritchard show came out, and I was at their first live show and all this. So I'm lucky to work with those guys and have the Creative Control Network and make some friendships through the network and help some of these guys make a couple of bucks, or be lucky enough to be linked with Road Warrior Animal before he passed, or Shane Helms, whose show is currently on hiatus as he's very busy with his WWE duties. But right now we've got Kevin Sullivan and Francine on there, and Kevin Sullivan's one of the great minds, of course, and his show is excellent. Francine, I kind of feel a kinship with her because we're from the same area. She went in and did the hard training at the ECW school, and she became an icon. Really, everybody remembers Francine, so it's fun to hear her perspective on things too. And lucky for me, I get to put it out there for them and try to help them get some sponsors and all that. So whenever I feel down about it or I'm overwhelmed or whatnot, I have to realize that I do kind of have it easy. I just got to put the time in and shut my mouth before I wind up working at the the Acme meat slice and counter or something like that. And then what happened to my life? Remember when I podcasted?
Yeah, remember that time I podcasted?
Yeah, I had my own T-shirt. Damn it.
Exactly, man. Bring back the T-shirt, the Feeney shirt.
Remember me.
But I think, man, as well, it's like to be motivated and stuff like that. Like this is the sort of thing that guys like me and you love to do. So when it comes down to it, it's like if you're doing what you love, you're never really working. You know what I mean? Like you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort, but by all means, but it's like it's an enjoyable experience for the most part.
Right. and from my perspective, I thought when I was leaving my job about oh my God, it was about 6-7 years ago now. I had a direction I wanted to go, and I went back to school for writing and screenwriting and writing for television, and I wasn't sure where I would wind up, but I just knew that I wanted my perspective was I wanted to be in a writer's room. You see that writer's room, and they're all working on ideas for Breaking Bad or Ozark or Mad Men, and or Sopranos back in the day. I saw myself being able to contribute really well in that environment. I was like, all right, I'll try to finagle my way into that. And it took a right turn into podcasting. So sometimes when I think, damn, I want to be a writer or on a writing team, I have to remind myself, well, on this side of the coin, what you're doing is still creative, it's still entertaining, and it's still, people like you're helping people get through their day. And I tell myself that too. Like people, they listen to Konnan stuff every day through the Patreon, or Raven has a group of really hardcore fans for that show that love everything about it, and send in creative emails or draw pictures or whatever and stuff. And the shows on my network people have discovered, and it helps get them through their day and stuff. So that's kind of how I look at it. I try not to regret like, oh, I could have finished school or something. I try to look at it like what I'm doing now is not only working out well for me, but it brings people joy too. And it's making a difference in people's lives. That sounds a little, whatever, but that's how I look at it. Like this is something that helps people get through their day or through their commute or through their, time at home when they're cleaning the house, whatever.
Oh, 100%. And, it's, you're doing something positive. You're putting out something positive and creative, and, it's something that people enjoy. And I think wrestling fans, and especially hardcore wrestling fans, which, enjoy listening to like more of like the backstage sort of stuff, some interviews, and, and obviously, Konnan, who was probably back in the 90s in the WCW stage, WCW days, was probably one of the most over guys there, next to Goldberg and stuff like that. Like, the whole crowds were always chanting his name. So he was definitely one of those commodities. And, Disco as well. Disco was long-term stay in WCW and really entertaining. But, Disco never went to WWE, I don't think, did he?
No. He's told there was a moment in time where he was going to come over, and they actually put his silhouette in the WWE magazine, like just a disco guy pointing the finger, and I think he was going to come in as Honky Tonk Man's new protege, which went to Billy Gunn because he went back to WCW. But there was conversations; it could have happened. I think he, would have been a success. Konnan, it's funny because we mentioned Enzo earlier, and oh my God, he's the next Road Dogg with this. Well, Konnan was WCW's Road Dogg. He came out 100%. And went wild, and they repeated his intro catchphrases and all that, even if they didn't understand them. I didn't know what the hell he was saying most of the time, but I'm sure if I was in the crowd, I would repeat it, And Disco, it's funny, he gets so much heat because of his opinions, and people will, well, you were a shit wrestler, and what were you, a jobber, and blah blah blah. And it's like, if you just go back to the network and watch Disco Inferno matches on Nitro from like 95 to 99 or whatever, before he tried to change his character a little. He comes out, people react crazy to the music. Everyone's dancing, there's girls dancing, and he could work with Scott Hall, Psychosis, Kidman, Raven, Konnan, anybody, Goldberg. You put him in there with Disco, and he would adapt. People forget he was a good cruiserweight champion. He was a good tag team wrestler with Alex Wright. Like, sometimes people get overlooked or are unnecessarily buried by a snooty fan base that thinks they know what's good and what isn't. But Disco really, when you look, was a talent, and he was a talent later on in TNA too, when they kind of gave him that upper card push. So I always find myself as a Disco defender for sure.
Oh, dude, same. And it's funny. I think you probably see like some of the like these fans that they look at guys like Disco and that on that level. Oh, but he was never the world champion. He never went to. You know what I mean? It's like, well, dude, it's like you don't have to be the world champion to to be smart about the business, to understand the business, to be an amazing talent. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time, but when it comes to people getting belts, it's political. You know what I mean? Like the old school way of it. It's political, or hey, this guy's going to get the run for it. That's where the booker wants it to go. And I think fans just don't get that.
So Disco wasn't world champion. Guess what? The great Khali was world champion. So, I mean, what does that say about his skill or interview ability, or, you know what I'm saying? And there's wrestling's funny. And actually I fell into an Enzo rabbit hole the other day. So he was saying something like this. Jerry Jarrett, if you ever read his book, says something like this, that wrestling is so complex. And Konnan, who books AAA and has booked other companies, said this is his job to deal with this, right? It's not real, but you're really losing. And that's all depending on who picks who wins or loses. So when you win matches, you're likely to make more money, but you're not really winning. You know, like it's all dependent on this booker creative team. And guys, you know, if you lose, you lose your ability to make this amount of money, let's say. Now you're a lower mid-card tier or whatever. It's all about who picks you, and it's really, you know, and once they don't have any use for you, you're pretty much to the curb. And then so there's guys always looking over their shoulder. Am I losing too much? Are you going to fire me? I can't do any more jobs. You're going to get, you know, and it's always paranoia and stuff like that. You know, from what I read and understand and all that, it's a tough, people don't like, physically it's tougher than people realize, but mentally it's pretty tough too. Not that we all don't have to look over our shoulders at our job from time to time, but with these guys, it's like, if you're in a certain position, you're constantly looking over, you know, your shoulder. So,
well, that's the thing that you saw, pardon me, yeah, with the recent releases and the whole Mickey James and the garbage bag situation, dude, and Mark Carano, like Gal Kim fucking tweeting, saying it happened to me years ago, and, you know, Fred Rosa, who was Darren Young, coming out saying that he was threatened by Carano continuously. The guy's ex-girlfriend's coming out saying he stole championship belts and stored them under his
belts under the bed. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, but it's just like they knew this motherfucker was doing it. It's just the only difference is like he fucking Mickey James called him out.
And I know, you know, anyone that's ever worked in like the you know, for a big company or the corporate world knows that you have to deal with HR, and they're supposed to be on your side, but they're really on the company's side. But it takes you have to put a certain type of person in that position. If you put a real asshole in an HR position or the position of power over all these employees, it ain't going to work out well. And they're going to, you know, enjoy that power and flex it. And it sounds like Carano was that type. I just, it's like going along with the paranoia and the difficulties mentally being in wrestling. You think about Mickey James, who, you know, she's been around over 20 years almost, something like that. Put all the time in WWE, you know, revved up her bump card, you know, gave her body to the company. And that's how your story ends with them. Your garbage bag full of trunks and boots or whatever it even was. Makes me think about, you know, guys that have been released that have really given up, like Matt Hardy. Not this time, but when he was released back in 2005 after the Edge and Lita thing,
yeah,
you know how beat up the Hardys are, man, and you know, all the ladder and TLC matches they did and the crazy bumps, and you know, there was one scandal backstage and they were like, "See you, Matt, beat it, dude," and it's like, damn, they never gave a shit at all, you know. So unfortunately, you are just commodities. You're just a commodity to draw television ratings and frankly to sell a lot of toys and shirts. And when you're not, you know, when they don't have any more use for you, you're going to be gone. So you have to kind of approach the job and the position with that in mind. There's certain guys that are made for life, but that's not most of the wrestlers, you know. There's guys like Ryback who are on top of the card. WWE doesn't even mention anymore. You know, Enzo is very popular. You'll never hear about him again, probably. And Ken Anderson, he was marked for a big push. He was going to be a main eventer, and then one day he was gone, and they never mentioned him again. So he
had like the Money in the Bank, didn't he, at one stage? And then it was like it just disappeared.
Yeah, I remember he got injured. He had some troubles. He had a rough year there. He got injured, and then he was running his mouth about how there was no steroids in WWE after Benoit died, and then of course he got popped and for steroids, or maybe he was on the signature pharmacy list of guys that had steroids delivered or something like that. So he made the company look bad, and that's it. You're done. Rich Swann had an incident with his then wife or girlfriend. He was cleared, but you're gone. You brought bad attention to the company, you know. And now he's successful elsewhere, but it's a cold industry, man. It's a cold industry.
But that's the thing, dude. Like they still keep certain people around.
Yeah, they do. You know
what I mean? Like,
Hogan gets to do his thing. You know, he never committed a crime or anything, but he did what he did. They still honor Jimmy Snuka when he passed. A lot of people were confused by that because of what Dark Side of the Ring brought up, and Jimmy was back in court over that situation before he died. So there's certain people that are in the family too. You're just in the family. That's it. You're gold. Like, I think Bruce, he's back in the family now. I think he'll probably retire there.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, I look at the Velveteen Dream situation, man, and like everything he went through. Like, excuse me. The the Velveteen Dream situation with everything he went through, dude, and like they still have him there. It's like it's a weird thing. Like, I'm like, how did this? I mean, a guy who was very clearly guilty on all levels on looking at the evidence get cleared and still have a job with a publicly traded company,
Yeah. And from what I've seen, Red Hunter always says, like, well, he was cleared and stuff, but it's obvious that the rest of the talent there does not care for him and doesn't want to work with him. And, I don't know what he's still doing there either. So maybe they're afraid to fire him for some other reason. Who knows? But I mean, when's the last time he was on TV? That last time he did the takeover match and, all the students turned their back on the ring or whatever.
Yeah. Well, either that or he's got some serious shit on someone there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Maybe there's something they don't want coming out.
Yeah, exactly, man. But it's a crazy world, man, of wrestling. It's a lot of the thing is, I think someone told me, a promoter once told me, he goes, I organize a bunch of guys who argue over who the toughest guy is in a make-believe sport. I was like, and he goes, like, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
You got to try to check that ego at the door. Like, guys who consider themselves really tough guys like Bob Holly and, Bradshaw, they didn't always win. They had to lose, and sometimes in a decisive fashion. It's just the way it is. Kurt Angle's a friggin' Olympic gold medalist. He's had to lose to some people he probably shouldn't have lost to. He was made to be a kind of, effeminate wiener joke for a couple of years there, right? Oh, I just drink milk and I believe in celibacy and all this, and in the meantime, he could take down anyone in the company, with ease. So it's just the way it goes. It's the way they perceive you and the way that you allow yourself to be perceived too.
It's kind of like you look at Matt Riddle and he's kind of in that same boat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're making him out to be like this goofy stoner, but in reality, he could probably fucking demolish like the entire roster in like, takedown after takedown.
I've met Matt, and I was around when he was first trained, and I actually saw his first match, which is, that's cool. And I saw him wrestle guys like QT Marshall, who's in AEW now, or guys like Camarado, who's over in AEW, I always screw up Damian Priest. Those guys came up together in Monster Factory as well. So when I was hanging out there, all this group of talent, most of them made it on TV, and that's really cool to me because, you never know who's going to make it and who's not going to. But with Riddle, he's a funny guy. He's kind of he's laid back. I mean, that's obvious, but he's not stupid. He's not an idiot. Like, they want to, you know what I mean? Like, I remember that was Moxley's problem when he left. He's like, dude, do you think I'm an idiot? Is my character an idiot? Like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
Riddle, I tweeted the other day that devastating knockout that he had on the Ultimate Fighter, which was just like unbelievable. And
was that the head kick one?
No, it was a punch, and the guy, he broke his jaw, and the guy was like lost and just going.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
like they sat him up backstage, and he's like, "Who fought? You fought, dude. Did I win? No, man, you didn't. You didn't win. I lost." Like, he had no clue where he was. And Riddle's Riddle's just got the big smile in the ring, like giving Dana the thumbs up. So he's a tough bastard, and he's self-taught. He's self-taught for MMA. He got BJ Penn's book and just taught himself, to start out anyway. And you don't want him to be like a robotic killer with no personality, but there's got to be a time when they show what he can do. There's got to be where they show what he's able to do MMA wise, and maybe, I don't know. To me, I don't like the presentation, and I always like the stuff that I saw him do in the Monster Factory or at Evolve. I just don't like the presentation right now. Although his match with Sheamus was phenomenal. You know, it did show 100%. What he's doing there, you know, and Sheamus as well. Sheamus is an underrated guy, you know. I thought that was a great combination to put those two together.
Yeah, I mean, and now Riddle's with, you know, I thought they were going to start to bury Riddle, to be honest, and now they're sort of pairing him up with Randy Orton. So, you know, unless they're just going to, like, you know, obviously it's going to be a build up for a Randy heel turn, and, you know,
likely, and maybe they'll change it up on us and Riddle will turn on him. That would be a good, you know what I mean? But, you know, you mentioned guys like Velveteen Dream that had, you know, rumors and whatever. Riddle had a little stink on him for a little bit too. They weren't sure what to do about that. And I guess they consider him cleared. So now they can push a little bit more. And, you know,
I think he had, he's some woman or indie worker or something said that he like was dating her and cheating on his wife and all this stuff. And nasty shit. So,
yeah. And it went to court and all that, I think on both sides, but, you know, people always, you read about his bad attitude, or he calls out Goldberg and Lesnar, and the old veterans don't like that. But sometimes it takes a little bit of that extra attitude to get Vince to go, you know, I trust this guy. He's got a little something. Orton was a known asshole for years, an immature young jerk, and he says it all the time now when his DVDs are on with Austin. But they saw something in him, so he got a little bit more chances than maybe somebody else would have. You know, and Riddle, they waited for him to get cleared from this, and now they're going to push him. And, you know, I think people knew he was going to be a talent just very shortly after he debuted. He just needed some seasoning and this and that. So it's good to see him on TV. Some of the silly stuff, I just don't like the presentation.
Yeah, I was kind of the same. Like, I like the fact that when they brought Riddle in originally, and when I saw that Riddle was getting into professional wrestling, that his gimmick and his storyline wasn't of like Ken Shamrock 2020, you know what I mean, like, or 2021. It was, you know, if you didn't know he had the MMA background, like seeing the presentation of him, you wouldn't know. Like, he was a former UFC fighter, and that's something I think is really cool.
Except does he wear like fight shorts? That's the only way, right? Like, maybe he was a fighter, you know. So,
you know, but still, it's, you know, the presentation now is just, you know, it's pretty sad to see some of the stuff they've had him do. Like, you know, pretty much like the Rob Van Dam would say, like, totally, yeah, dude,
whatever. Yeah. It is very similar. It is very, very similar, and I wish it had happened a couple of years ago with Riddle, because they could have had him and Rob, you know, do a little teaming just for the fans like us who recognize the similarities and whatever, you know, in NXT or something like that. But I think it's a little too late for Rob at this point. So, but they did get to interact at the Hall of Fame and all, which is great.
Yeah, like it was funny for somewhat, but it was like after a while, it was just like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, it's just silly.
Yep,
just silly. But, you know, but what are your, you know, plans moving forward now? Like, obviously, you know, K100's been going strong, the Raven Effect's going strong, and the stuff with Conrad you're doing. But you've also got another show that you're going to be involved in as well coming up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just found out that for now, I'll be helping Conrad with the Jeff Jarrett show too. So, you know, on top of the other stuff, it's like Saturday night, I do the Angle show. Sunday night, I do Bischoff. Monday night, I do Arn. Wednesday night, I do JR. Thursday night, I do Pritchard. So those are, you know, a couple hours a day or night that I have to squeeze in around the other stuff. And I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. It's all paid gigs, but you got to juggle your time. And Conrad's always taking care of me. And, you know, we split for a little while there, but he brought me back. And I realized how much I appreciated that gig, you know. Before I was kind of like, it's taking too much time. As soon as I went back, I realized how much I appreciated it. So I'm having fun there now. And I think the Jarrett show is going to be, like I said on Konnan show, there's a lot of ground to uncover with Jeff. Like he's done a lot of podcasts, but he doesn't dig deep. You know what I mean? He hasn't done any shoot interviews. And so there's all these stories from 1990s WWA and WCW to Memphis, getting into the business, to, you know, the starting days of TNA, to working WWA in Australia with all these guys and everything, man. He's going to have a lot of stories to tell, and they're all going to be new. the problem with podcasting and shoot interviews for the last 20 years and whatever is that there's a lot of stories we've heard. And sometimes they become part of the guy's interview. Like he will tell that story no matter what, he'll fit it in, And you're like, I heard this already. So Jeff is in the unique position of having a lot of stories that are untold. So that's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. I should probably get the file in a few days or something. I guess it comes out Tuesday. So he's taking over Tuesday and Arn's moving to Saturday from what I understand. So now what is it? 6. I'll be doing Arn Friday night, Angle Saturday night, Bischoff Sunday night, Jarrett Monday night. I have Tuesday free. There's one. Wednesday nights, JR. Thursday nights, Pritchard. Friday nights, Arn, and on we go. So,
Jesus, living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
It's cool, man. It really is. I mean, it's and I could do it anywhere too. You can. It's if I wanted to take a trip or something. It's not always fun to work on your vacation, but I could do it. I'm in that position. So you might be seeing me on the Keepin It 100 video, like with a Disney World room behind me in the fall. So I'm planning, hopefully we can get to Disney, my wife and I, and
I can see you like in a Hawaiian beach background with like
the Mickey ears on or whatever,
Yeah, exactly. Like, just sit there, the roller coaster in the background and all that sort of shit, and
room service coming in. I'm at the character breakfast. Donald Duck and Mickey and Goofy and all are coming up to the table. Like, hey, cameo time.
Oh man, but as I said before, man, you look at the where you're at now with doing all this, you're in a really good situation and a really good spot with a lot of amazing talent, which obviously is growing and developing into something huge for you.
Yeah, and I hope that that it's building a reputation, because any day these gigs could stop. Konnan might go, you know what, I got to focus. My health is taking a turn. I got to focus on it. No more Keepin It 100. Okay. Conrad brings Matt Kuhn back on. I lose those gigs. Okay. Raven doesn't feel like podcasting anymore. Okay. And then everything's gone. So I'm hoping that I'm building a reputation when that day comes, when some of these gigs don't exist anymore, that someone's going to think of me when they're going to start a podcast, or they want, you know what I mean? Like, hopefully I am. Yeah. I don't know how well that looks on a resume, but I'm sure one day I'll find out. But no, right now I'm just enjoying the ride. And like I said, Ed and Jarrett's super cool. Keepin It 100 has gone to another level. Raven Effect has been a whole lot of fun, and Creative Control Network has added some new shows that have really added something to the network. We the guys from the 2-Man Power Trip, John Paz and Chad, they had a great reputation themselves. Yeah. And having them come aboard with a couple of shows it helps Creative Control. It raised us up a little bit. So, and they're professionals too. So you bring on a couple more professional shows. It's not just someone. I think I'll give podcasting a try, which I had a few of those shows. It's better to have some pros on with you. So the only thing, and I think I said this the other day on actually I was doing a show with John Paz. The only thing that's hard for me, and then I kind of I'll let it bother me, I'll think negatively about it, is I don't have enough time specifically to focus on some of the Creative Control Network shows. Like everybody kind of has an ad and stuff like that, but I want it more, and it's hard to get their shows to focus. But so far I guess everyone on there's happy, and hopefully no one's going to leave because I'm spending 30 hours a week on Konnan show or whatever. So
oh, I mean that's the thing, when you've built up something like you have, like the Creative Control Network, it's like that is now flowing, right? Like it's everything is sort of like set up and the balls are now in motion, and sort of turning. So the fact that you can focus on other things is a good thing. It shows that the business is very forward moving.
Yeah, and obviously having me appear on Konnan show and Raven show only would make people aware of these other shows on Creative Control. So it all works together, So
yeah, no, 100%. And when is the Jeff Jarrett podcast? When are you going to be debuting on that one?
I think they said it's coming out Tuesday is the first. I think it's May 4th, Tuesday will be the first one. Yeah. And from what I understand, they're talking about the infamous Bash at the Beach 2000, where he laid down for Hogan. and Russo came out and cut the shoot promo. Then there was a lawsuit. So you're going to hear about it from Jeff's perspective for really the first time that he can cover it, because there was a lawsuit that kept him quiet, so it's going to be interesting. And having Conrad ask questions the way that he does and digging in, I think this is going to be a really popular show.
What do you think about the Bash of the Beach incident?
By then I was kind of spoiled, like as a smark. I thought everything was that's a work. To this day, I think everything's a work. They've been killing me on Konnan show because I'm convinced that Jake Paul versus Ben Askren was a work.
I was just listening. I listened to that today. Yeah.
And I get fired up about that. But
dude, I can see your point of view on that, though.
Yeah, definitely. Why wouldn't they pay this guy to take the dive and it gets Askren, more legitimacy? And I'm actually kind of baffled that guys in wrestling like Konnan and Disco don't see it like that. They think I'm the idiot for looking at it a little deeper, but it's cool. Dana White agrees with me, and Chris Jericho.
But that's the thing, like like someone like Ben Askren, who would be like, whether he was in shape or not for that fight,
mm-hmm.
His muscle memory and taking a hit and stuff like that would be there. So could have been a freak punch.
He could. He's proven he can take strikes, which is why I was like, this kind of lopsided, floppy hook to the side of the head. And then that's what I said on Konnan. It's like, if I was to take a dive with a punch, I'd be like, yeah, just hit me up here, brother. Whatever. Don't fuck up my nose. So that I thought about that too. I'm like, he wasn't damaged really. He came out of the ring smiling. So who knows? But I don't look at it negatively. If that's their setup, that's cool. But I'm not necessarily sure that they should be allowing gambling on it in legitimate sports books. I don't know that it's real to that level, and they've never proven it. They were just all of a sudden in the sports books, boom. But money's money. So where there's
people can bet on professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, I've done it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy. That was crazy to me. Like when I was like seeing like in sports bet and stuff like that, that you can bet on will the Undertaker win in I'm like,
but at the same time, that's like betting on which Game of Thrones character is going to end up on the throne, or who's going to die on the Ozark season finale. Like, it's just, you're not betting on who's going to win the fight between Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker. You're betting on where's the story going. So I understand it. It's not, to me, that's still a legitimate bet. You're not betting on a fight. You're betting on the creative. You're betting on how's this going to turn out? Why would it turn out that way? I wouldn't be surprised to see it get a little more popular, actually, because now I think still the only way you could bet on WWE is like overseas, from America, overseas gambling sites. And, they're like 5 Dime. I don't want to plug anybody, but 5 Dimes was the one I used to use. So, and I won. I've told the story before, but I won on WrestleMania the year that Triple H beat Sting, because Sting was a huge favorite. And Triple H was like plus 700. And I'm like, there's no way Vince is letting Hunter lose to Sting, who represents WCW to him. There's just no way. And so I won 100%. Money. I'm betting on the fake sport. So there you go.
That is awesome. I've never done it. I've come close going, fuck, like really? Like,
because if you research it, a lot of the times, there's some kind of inside info, right? So the favorites, 8 times out of 10 do win, but sometimes there's a last minute switch and the odds have already gone out. Like, I think if you look at the one night of WrestleMania, and I don't have this the exact facts, but let's say there was 10 matches, like 4 of them the underdogs won or something. So something changed, and if you bet on Sheamus and he was an underdog at the time, to beat Riddle, then you won money. I mean, it's interesting. I think it'll become more regular once people see it from that perspective. Like, no, I'm not betting on a fake fight. I'm betting on how a story's going to proceed, and why.
Yeah, 100%. And I can kind of get it from that perspective. Like, if you're looking at it from betting on for the creative aspect of it, but I don't know, man. Like, it's like, as you said, betting on Game of Thrones, betting on Days of Our Lives, who killed Betty, whatever it may be. But it's just, it's wild to me that it was even in the betting to begin with, man. But
you can bet on things that are fixed. I mean, you could even have bet on the U.S. presidential election last year. So, I mean, you can bet on other things that were fixed. Very popular opinion that I have. So,
oh, absolutely. But
just note that Askren Paul was a work, and Biden win the presidency was a work. That's my two recent big conspiracy works.
The Feeney conspiracies. There you go. That's a new podcast right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the Feeney conspiracies that seem totally logical to me and totally illogical to some others.
100%. So. But we are going to go into the Guess the Aussie slang game.
Cool.
You ready to get into it tonight, mate?
Yeah, I think I did all right last time. I want to do like 50% or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like 50, 60%. So, okay. So first one up is Macca's. Let's go get some Macca's.
Like a cheeseburger. Let's go get some burgers.
Close. McDonald's.
Oh, Mackie. Yeah. I got you. The judge might give me that one. I don't know.
I'll give it to you. I'll give you that one. I'll allow it. All right. Next one is bog roll. Hey, can you pass me a bog roll?
Is it like rolling papers, like for a joint?
No, bog roll is toilet paper. So
okay.
When you go to the toilet, you take a bog. That's an Australian term. But all right. So I'm going to head over to Vegas for the weekend.
Casino in Brisbane.
Well, Brisbane is known as Bris Vegas. So I'll give you Brisbane for that one. So
yeah.
All right. Hey, did you go to see that match down at the Gabba?
Say it again.
Did you see the match down at the Gabba?
Is that the name for like a big arena or something like that?
Yeah, it's like the cricket ground, the large cricket ground that's known here. So, hey, can you go pick up some Bickies at Woolies? What am I asking you to pick up, and what's Woolies? Bickies and Woolies.
I would say pick up some beers, but I don't know what is Woolies a tavern or a bar or something. Maybe I feel like I'm off though.
So Bickies are like cookies, and Woolies is Woolworths, which is like a supermarket. So, all right. So another little slang expression for you is, "Oi, are your fucking ears painted on or what?"
You would say that to someone when they're not listening to you or when they don't pay attention.
Yep, 100%. Next is bloody oath.
Bloody oath?
Yeah, like bloody oath, mate.
It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like saying God damn it.
Bloody oath is more like saying like, yeah, that's true. Like fucking oath, that's true.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So, are you dead set?
Yeah. Are you like really certain that you want to do something?
Yeah. Okay. Devo. Are you Devo? I'm Devo.
Like you're definitely going to do something?
No, Devo means devastated.
Okay.
Bro, check out my car. It's fully sick.
Fully loaded. Something like that.
Yeah, it means really cool. So
really cool. Yeah.
I'll go that one. We'll go a couple more. Okay, so this one, fuck Joe, that's cactus.
That's cactus. I don't know. Yeah, that one. I'm drawing a blank on that one.
It means it's fucked. Like it's completely done. It's rooted,
okay.
Screwed,
okay.
Done.
Got it.
Okay. So we'll go another one. So, all right. Now, I'll tell you what, me old Gary Jack's a bit Billy Moore. What does that mean?
Say again.
Me old Gary Jack is a bit Billy Moore.
I don't know on that one.
It means my back's a bit sore.
Fuck. Okay.
That's a hard one, man. But yeah, look, that's Guess the Aussie slang game.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you for coming on, man. Where can everyone find you on social media, dude?
We could find me at JF Feeney 3RD. That's JFFEENEY, the number 3RD on Twitter. You can find the Creative Control Network at the CC Network 1, the number 1 on Twitter. Also, Keepin It 100 with Konnan is at K100 Konnan on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's really it. I just mostly mess around on Twitter for when it comes to the shows and whatnot. So every Monday, you can hear me on the Raven Effect. Early in the week, you can hear K100 Rehash, and on Thursdays, you can hear Keepin It 100. I'm on those shows, and that's where you'll hear me. And I'm behind the scenes on the Conrad shows. You'll never ever hear me on there unless I have to step in for an ad. And then every Saturday, there's the parody show Get My Go that comes out with usually myself, Husey, and Mike Durbin. There's been some other guys that stepped in, like Chad from the 2-Man Power Trip, and Dean, who is our Australian correspondent. He's called the Aussie guy. So there you go. And it's just a parody show making fun of some less talented podcasts. So that's out every Saturday on YouTube, and there's an audio release as well.
That sounds awesome, man. I'm going to have to check it out. But Joe, look, thank you for coming on, man. It's always awesome to sit down and have a chat with you, man, and chop it up, bro. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. And guys, we got Angel Show tomorrow, Killing the Business. We're debuting the Dead President Show, Nights of the Gimmick Table, on Sunday at 9 p.m. USA Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that. And guys, I got an interview live tomorrow as well at 9:30 p.m. USA Eastern, which is 11:30 a.m. my time. So guys, make sure you tune in for that. Till next time, take it easy, guys. Check out K100, check out the Raven Effect, check out the Creative Control Network, and have an awesome weekend. Peace.